From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Afternoon Edition.
The Israel military now warning more than 1 million Palestinian civilians living in northern Gaza to evacuate their homes. Israel says the order is intended to minimize civilian deaths. The United Nations now warning, though, this could mean a humanitarian disaster. Good afternoon. I'm Ryan Yamamoto as the war between Israel and Hamas enters a 7th day in San Francisco. People calling for the safe return of civilians that were captured by Hamas. Let's give you a live look right now at the Bring Them Home rally. This is at the Civic Center Plaza. The Jewish Community Relations Council, along with the American Jewish community, among others, calling for the return of 130 civilians that were captured by Hamas. Here's another live look at that demonstration from our Chopper 5. This is once again at the Civic Center Plaza. That rally is expected to go until 5 this evening. There will be heightened security there. Meanwhile, the fight between Israel and Hamas continues to escalate. The Israeli military says troops have now entered Gaza to battle militants, destroy weapons, and search for evidence about hostages held by Hamas. And as the death toll climbs on the Palestinian side, the former head of Hamas calling for protests worldwide. Today, he is calling it a day of rage, and that is prompting increased security measures in the U.S. and around the globe. Natalie Brand reports from Washington.
Ryan, law enforcement sources tell CBS News there are no credible threats in the U.S. currently, but police nationwide are still on alert, including here on Capitol Hill, as tensions rise in the Middle East.
Leaflets rained down on northern Gaza Friday, Israel telling Palestinians to move south, a sign that a ground invasion is likely coming soon. Residents packed into vehicles. More than 1 million people live in and around Gaza City. And even if people move south, there's no way out of Gaza. The border to Egypt is blocked. As Israel's aerial bombardment of Hamas targets in Gaza continues, hospitals are overwhelmed.
You have to choose between the patients, which one will survive more.
In Israel, bodies from last weekend's terror attack still await identification.
Hundreds of bodies, babies, children.
U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin traveled to Israel Friday, where he said the U.S. is ready to send more military aid.
America's support for Israel is ironclad.
Here at home, federal and local law enforcement agencies across the country have increased security measures, including here at the nation's capital, after the former head of Hamas called for a global day of rage.
Thousands of Jordanians marched in the streets, one of many protests worldwide in support of Palestinians. In the U.S., Jewish communities are taking extra precautions.
We have told the parents that if you wish you can't keep your children home, that's okay.
Many mosques are also adding extra security. Both sides concerned the fighting overseas will lead to violence at home.
The State Department says evacuation flights to help Americans in Israel leave will begin today. A spokesman says more than 20,000 U.S. citizens have reached out to the government since last weekend. The State Department says it's also in communication with Americans in Gaza that have requested assistance to leave. Ryan, back to you.
Thank you, Natalie. And many of us here at home are turning to social media to find out what's happening in the war zone. But we also need to be careful about all the misinformation that's out there. Jocelyn Moran spoke with 2 experts who outlined how we can separate that fact from fiction.
The video that we're getting from boots on the ground in Israel and Gaza is horrific, and many innocent lives are being taken. As we educate ourselves, experts say it's important to be aware of what we consume online.
I've been covering mis and disinformation for at least the past 5 years, and I think this is the worst that I've ever seen it.
Alex Mahadevan is the director of MediaWise at the Poynter Institute.
So a lot of it was wartime footage that was old, out of date, or out of context that was being shared as if it was coming directly from Israel or Gaza. A lot of the footage that you saw that claimed to show Hamas fighters parachuting into the country, that actually was not real. That was not from the conflict.
How concerning is all of it? What dangers come with that?
Well, it's very concerning. I think mis and disinformation can affect how someone sees this conflict.
Grant Kean is a professor of communications at CSU East Bay. He studies and teaches how people communicate through memes. He showed us how easily memes relating to this war can be found online and be used by people.
This is all propaganda, and if we look at this meme in particular, it might be tempting for some people to look at this and say, yeah, this seems to be the situation, but it's such an oversimplification of the issue that it's going to lead us down the wrong path. It's going to confirm our biases.
When looking for information online, he says being aware of our biases is important.
You can't pick a side to begin with. Otherwise, you're biasing what you're going to find.
So what can we do to ensure we're getting the most accurate information according to the experts we talk to? Check multiple sources. Look at who is posting something on Twitter. Who are they? Take a screenshot from a video you see, plug it into a search engine, and track down the original source.
Experts say misleading images and video can be damaging to those who have loved ones in Israel and Gaza. This war could also impact how someone votes in the future, including this upcoming presidential election. And we will continue to follow the latest developments out of the Middle East on air and streaming on the free CBS News app and on our website at KPIX.com, where you can find live updates.